Welcome everyone to Sally Beauty's Founder to Founder Roundtable in celebration of Black History Month. I'm Taraji P. Henson with TPH by Taraji. We're here to celebrate Black History Month and to honor Black owned and Black founded brands at Sally Beauty. We're celebrating some of the incredible Black founders at Sally Beauty, and I am thrilled to be here with this powerful group of entrepreneurs. These inspiring individuals are here to share their personal journeys, the ins and outs of starting a business, and the priceless insights they've learned along the way. So it's time to meet our panel of trailblazing founders. We first up, we have Gabrielle Union and Larry Sims, co-founders of Flawless. Gabrielle Union. Hey guys.
Hey,
We have Monique Rodriguez, founder of Mielle Organics. Hey. Maya Smith, founder of the Doux.
Hi.
Mhm. Pekela Riley, founder of True and Pure Texture.
Hey, everybody.
We want to take a moment to also remember another beloved founder who is no longer with us. Christia Donaldson, founder of Thank God It's Natural, passed away this past year after a long battle with breast cancer. Monique, why don't you tell us about your relationship and friendship with Christia and how she has influenced you?
Of course. So I met Christia around 2016. It was about 2 years after I first entered into the natural hair industry. I had already been familiar with her book, which was Thank God I'm Natural. And at that time, it was a title that stuck out to me and, that was ringing in my head. And then I discovered shortly after that it was also the name of her actual brand and products. So when I first met Christia, there was never a competitive spirit about her. Given that, technically we are competitors in the same industry, but she was always so warm and friendly. And it was more like, I'm a little sister to her, that type of energy and spirit she carried with her. She was always so pleasant, so very nice and friendly. Every time that we saw each other, she just had a very warm spirit about her and such a beautiful smile. I would have never known what she was going through, until she started announcing it publicly to raise awareness for women to get checked. And she has done a tremendous job in helping women become aware and to get themselves checked for breast cancer. But knowing Christia, you would have never known that she was going through that because she always showed up so bubbly. She always had a smile on her face. She was very straightforward and also very funny. And so I'm going to remember Christia as being a trailblazer, being a great businesswoman. She was also a lawyer, which made her a great businesswoman. She was so inspiring to many. She was inspiring to me, given that she had already paved the way for brands like Mielle to come and do what we're doing here today. So I want you guys to remember Christia as a great businesswoman. She was very passionate about her community, very passionate about, women, Black women, and getting themselves checked and being aware of breast cancer. So she did a great job of raising awareness for breast cancer. And she was inspiring for helping women, African American women, embrace their natural hair. She is the reason why we say, thank God I'm natural.
Christia relied on God for everything. When it came to formulas, when it came to launching this, she relied heavily on her faith. And that's where the name, Thank God It's Natural, came from. So our partnership with Sally was very important to Christia. We originally launched in Sally Beauty in January of 2016, and Christia had just recently found out that she had been diagnosed with breast cancer. So that partnership with Sally, even though she was going through a tough time, was very important, very, very important to her. Christia wanted to empower the Black community by letting them know you can be your authentic, real self. You can build an amazing brand that touches the Black community and outside the Black community. But I think most importantly, her foundation that she built, her breast cancer foundation. I think that's how Christia is empowering the community. The TGIN Foundation was launched in 2017 when Christia beat cancer the first time. Annually, we host a Cocktails for the Cure event that raises money to help underinsured women in our community get to their breast health appointments, aid in childcare, transportation costs, those costs when you are undergoing treatment that you might not be supported. Christia has inspired me to always give my best and be my true authentic self. She didn't say perfection, but she did say do everything with the spirit of excellence. When you wake up in the morning, when you go to work, are you giving your best? In whatever you do, give your best, operate in the spirit of excellence. And I take that with me daily.
Thank you, Monique, for those beautiful words. She will be greatly missed. Christia had a beautiful why for her business. And that's how I want to kick off our panel with this topic. We all have a reason for creating our brand. Something spoke to us, or we saw a need that wasn't being addressed. What was your why? And I'm going to throw this to Pekela and Mielle.
My why really was about self-love, really wanting to create something that really spoke to who we were and an expansion for who we are. I'm a hairstylist and have been for over 20 years, and 70% of the world has textured hair. Yet we're the most underserviced as it relates in the beauty industry. And so as I thought about the textured hair offerings or hair offerings for textured hair, there were so many gaps in regards to a texture match. And so the reason why I say it's self-love is because whenever we have more of who we are, we really find love in that. And it says that we're more than enough. And so that's honestly where I began with my brand. And that ultimately is my why, is the affirmation of self-love, that we're worthy of having more of who we are.
Love that. Mielle?
Yes, ma'am. So for me, it was really just my community. Some of you may know that I started the Doux when I was living in Germany. My husband was in the Air Force. And so I was servicing our men and women of the U.S. Air Force and Army and Navy. And I had a very specific problem to solve because my clients weren't able to transition from relaxed hair to natural hair in less time. They have a really active lifestyle, and we were just trying to figure it out. Natural hair wasn't a thing at the time, and it was really difficult for people who wanted to wear their hair both straight and curly. So the inspiration from the Doux really just comes from the ground up, from our salon, from our community, and all of the conversations and late nights that we spent talking to our community and meeting a need that they had.
I love it. I just love that we can all do this. We can all be in this space and be good at it. Just like I would always go down the aisle, you have all the other big brands. What we should have the same services. And so this is what makes me so proud, because I'm a girl's girl anyway. So I just makes it warms my heart. This is really beautiful. And I'm glad that I'm alive to see this and be a part of this journey. Why was partnering with Sally Beauty important to you? What does it mean to you to enrich a Sally Beauty customer's hair journey, Gabrielle?
Yeah, no, we partnered with Sally Beauty on our relaunch in 2020 because we learned from the mistakes of the first launch. My first go around with Flawless by Gabrielle Union, me and my name are the only Black parts about that business at that time. And I learned very quickly that being Black fronted is not the same as having any sort of say-so or control over the services, the experience, the products. And I was like, I need a do-over. So in 2020, I decided to partner with Larry Sims, one of my best friends, my longtime hairstylist. We met on the set of Bring It On when he was still a dancer and segueing into doing hair. But if I was going to tell the real story about my hair journey and share that and develop products based on my hair journey, there was no way I could do it without Larry Sims. And then it was kind of like, well, what's the point of creating this if the products are priced too high? What's the point of doing this if we're selling our products in stores that demonize and profile our customers? So I grew up going to Sally Beauty, and I knew our customer, was in alignment with me. So Sally Beauty understood our goals, understood our passion, and it was the perfect relationship to distribute Flawless by Gabrielle Union and Larry Sims for our exclusive deal when we first launched.
I love it. Well, Pekela, tell us about your experience bringing true and pure texture to into Sally Beauty.
It's been an amazing journey. I actually came into Sally Beauty as a part of a cohort. So I was one of 200 applicants to be awarded a cohort. And so it really has been an opportunity to service so many underserviced women as it relates to texture. And as you shared, Taraji, that it's, what a great time that we're in, that there's so much room for all of us, because like I shared, 70% of the world has textured hair. Yeah, as it relates to many of the textured hair offerings, many of those were synthetic or are a lack of a texture match. And so my philosophy from behind the chair as a hairstylist has always been that, and as the world would represent, that texture truly is the apex. Mm-hmm. And so it's just very fitting to partner with Sally in bringing that, because Sally's was always a part of my journey growing up. We went to Sally Beauty to pick up our supplies to do our hair because we could not go to the salon. And so this is just very fitting to really create another access point for the Sally Beauty customer to service their textured hair.
Yeah, it's sort of like surreal for me because of how much money I dropped in Sally growing up. I'm sure you ladies feel the same way, and here we are with our own products in there. It's like sometimes I pinch myself. It's just really crazy. Anyway, we all know the road to success isn't easy, and we learn just as much from our failures as we do our wins. What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned along the way? Larry and then Monique.
Hi. Okay, so some of the lessons that we've learned along the way, I think we launched during the pandemic, and we could not even foresee the level of success that we have attained. And, one of the lessons that I think we caught on very early on is to figure out how to have the supply for the demand. And going into business, we didn't even think about that, I don't think. I mean, obviously, when we talked about the relaunch of Flawless, we talked about it and discussed it before the pandemic even happened. But, because of the pandemic, a lot of the manufacturers and a lot of the suppliers just got hit with, the repercussions of what the pandemic represented. So I think the biggest lesson in our launch was to try to get ahead of ourselves, to make sure that we don't have a lot of the out of stock or unavailables that you see sometimes on some of the websites. So that was a difficult lesson to learn. But we have figured out a way to sort of get ahead of ourselves in that way.
Now.
Yeah.
No one ever tells you to be prepared for success.
Exactly.
They tell you kind of be prepared for the slow climb.
Yeah.
And for us to come out the gate with so much success and demand, we weren't even close to being prepared to meet that demand at all.
Yeah.
And no one really talks about that part of the business either.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was beyond our control because a lot of stuff brought out in those containers.
Yes.
Stuff couldn't get into inland. So yeah, that pandemic, it was a blessing and I looked at it as a blessing. I'm always looking for the positive in anything. And what everybody was doing at home was their own hair. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was space for all of us to thrive. So beautiful. What about you, Monique?
Yeah, I would say one of the lessons, I have so many lessons that I can share, but I would say one biggest lesson that I learned is that everything's always negotiable. Especially when you are a new brand and you're getting into this space and you're scaling up, it can be hard to scale up and maintain pricing, being able to buy in bulk, being able to negotiate the right pricing so you can have the right price at shelf, so you can have affordable products and accessibility for the consumer at shelf. So when I first entered into this space and entered into retail, our cost of goods were extremely high. And, after doing this for a couple of years, I learned that, I can go to my manufacturers, I can negotiate my ingredients, I can negotiate packaging instead of just going with the price that they tell me. Being a new business owner, I was like, okay, $3, okay, that sounds good. When in actuality, you can get pricing cheaper than that by buying in bulk and buying in value. So that's one of the lessons that I had to learn. We spent a lot of wasted money and cost of goods because we did not negotiate in the very beginning. So I always tell business owners to go in when you meet with your packaging and your suppliers, always negotiate the price, because they'll give you one price and there's a price that's always lower than that.
That's good to know. What unique challenges have you faced as a Black female entrepreneur? And I'm going to give this to Pekela and Maya.
I think for me, it's really still maintaining my individuality. I think a lot of times just the idea of what it means to be a Black woman in business or a Black entrepreneur in any field, in any space, we're still kind of seen as a monolith. And so while we're still pressing against, pushing past a lot of stereotypes and, the outside idea of our credit worthiness and our ability to run our own businesses, we're still personally struggling with maintaining our own individuality, because it's assumed a lot that all Black people in business, have the same set of values or coming with the same story or the same background. So I think it's been a challenge for me personally, just to present myself as an individual and be respected in that way, and to be appreciated not only as a Black female entrepreneur, but just as an entrepreneur.
Yes, ma'am.
I agree. That was so beautiful, because there's so much I can relate to. It really is about, for me, there's always that recentering. And for me, it's always like, if you lose your source, then you lose yourself.
Absolutely.
Just keeping that balance and understanding that, just because we can do many things, we may not be able to do many things at once. And so as a creative, that's very challenging for me sometimes to say, hey, no, focus right here, focus right here. So it really is about self-care, not losing myself in the process, and just really keeping connected to the source so that I can still show up as myself, my best self each day in this journey.
Absolutely. I hear that. Self-care is so important.
Sometimes we just lose the source and we lose our way. And, that source, of course, is God. And
Absolutely.
really finding time to just really reconnecting with your why.
Absolutely.
Can I add to that?
Absolutely.
I just, also I wanted to add that, what I see as one of the biggest challenges that, I don't think that we talk about is just the lack of funding and the lack of resources and expertise that's given to Black women. As Black women, I feel like we have to work 10 times harder to prove ourselves. But there's so much value in what we bring. There's so much value in what we build. And, these investors, the private equity world, they really want to be a part of it, because, let's just face it, there's nothing like a Black woman, and how we connect and what we offer and what we bring to the table. Like, there's nothing like it. But less than 93% of Black women have raised less than $1 million. Like, that's crazy. Like, we deserve more. We deserve to have a seat at the table. We deserve to be heard. And we also deserve to have the same type of resources, the funding, as our counterparts. And I feel like it's not talked about. And to me, that's one of the biggest challenges, because when you scale a brand, you need money and you need funding to do that. And you also need the knowledge and the expertise, because it's one thing to have the funding, but if you don't have the knowledge and the expertise to help you and support you and mentor you, you're not going to, do well with this. So just the funding and the resources is also a big challenge in our industry, being a Black woman.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, Pekela. But I was going to say, what hurts my feelings is that all of these brands were born out of our own necessity.
Yeah.
There were gaps that we were totally ignored, and so that's what happens though. That's what we do as Black people. Since slavery, we came here, we were given scraps and we turned those scraps into delicate meals that people want to eat, still to this day. But what hurts my feelings, like you're saying, Monique, is that that's shunned oftentimes. And then you'll see these big corporations come in after we've created and they try to capitalize on it. It's like, no, we don't need you now. We got it. We don't need you now.
Taraji, okay, so we came up in Hollywood. We got in around the same time. We've had all of our trials and tribulations in the hair and makeup department. And I think a lot of folks think that the way we got into the hair care business was, paved with gold. So can you give us your why and your biggest challenge so far as well?
Yeah. So for me, it was finding the right partner, because I had the idea, but it was like, who's going to help me with this? And again, Monique, like you said, it was the funding. I couldn't find the funding. So it wasn't until I met with who I partnered with, and they saw how passionate I was about what I was doing, because I came into the industry. I didn't really wear weaves. I couldn't afford it. I was a kid in the Southeast DC. I couldn't afford a weave. And so when I got to Hollywood, I just heard about all of these stories about, Black women losing our hair because of the weaves and protecting your hair and, and continuity in movies, and you're going to burn your hair out. So I started weaving my hair and I was like, I don't like this. It feels like a hat. So, I'll never forget, I'm going to make y'all laugh. I'll never forget the first time I did my first weave, and it was the wet and go. Yeah, well, no one told me that I needed to sit under the dryer to dry my wefts. So I was just wet and going for a couple of months. When it had my weave taken down and the stench.
Okay.
The mildew, right? So a lot of times it's education for us, right? So my thing was, well, how do I clean my scalp? And I had issues. I couldn't, so I went in the kitchen, you know how we do, and you figure it out. So I didn't think about this. Literally was out of my own necessity. I wasn't going, I'm gonna make money one day. This was for me. Went on vacation with some friends, and my girlfriend was like, my scalp is itching. And I said, why don't you use what I do? And I put it together and I gave it to her. She's like, oh my God, where do I get this? And I was like, give me a minute. But literally, it was organic. Like, it was out of my own necessity. And for me, that's how I operate. I can't do something if I don't believe in it. If there is no real purpose behind it, I can't get in front of it and try to sell it to the people, because the people know, so I literally, it was out of my own necessity. And then when people I think it's the first time I wore my hair in a movie, was Think Like a Man. And people were like, oh my God, that's your real hair. How do you keep it like that, And I was like, well, I can't really explain it to you in 141 characters. So give me a minute. And like I said, I'm a girl's girl, so I love to share. I like to share. That's what being a girl is about, sharing your secrets. Oh, how did you do this? I will use this and use that, so that's how I came about. But again, it was about finding the right partner. And thank God I found the right partner, because they really get it. They understand what I'm trying to do, and they really are behind me. So I'm grateful to God for that.
Love that. Speaking of finding the right partner and the power of women, it took this Black woman, as we're hidden glasses, it took this Black woman to say to me, and I want you to come on this journey with me, and I want to give you ownership, not just as a spokesperson or as a consultant, but ownership in this journey, so that we can be a provider of our communities with a solution, an affordable solution. And she said, it ain't fun if the homie can't have none. And she went above and beyond in terms of what she offered me, in terms of the piece of the pie, with this journey. We've been friends for a million years, and I've seen her through so many different aspects of her hair journey. Even before I even knew I was going to be doing this as a profession, we knew each other. And the fact that she came back and said to me, I want to make sure that you are a part of this and the ownership. We're Black owned. And it really changed the trajectory of that relationship that I had with that German brand into what we're doing today. So Black women, y'all are powerful. And I appreciate
That what you just shared, Larry, really touches my heart, because as a stylist, we create the magic, and we showcase how the product worked, and we really can showcase that, but we never are offered equity in this situation. So it's an honorable thing just for Gabrielle to do that. Such a beautiful thing, and it just shows the power of what we can do when we really work together. Absolutely help each other. So it's so touching. I so love that.
That is beautiful. That is so beautiful. And on that note, what is your advice for someone who is considering starting a venture in the beauty industry? Monique, you want to take that, or Larry, or whoever?
Sure.
Jump in.
Yeah, no, I feel that if you are venturing off and starting a business in the beauty industry, you have to be passionate about it. Like, your passion is what's going to drive you. It's what's going to motivate you to keep going on days where you can't meet payroll, because in business, when you're starting out, it can be a little tough, and it's always going to be ups and downs and rocky roads. But that passion is what's going to keep you going. I've been passionate about hair and beauty ever since I was a little girl. And I started with my passion of serving people and wanting to overserve my community and giving them affordable hair products that met the needs of the consumer, using natural, great ingredients that focus on healthy hair and scalp. But it really started as like a hobby, and that hobby led into a successful business, what you see here today. So you have to be extremely passionate about it. Like, don't go into it because you're trying to chase a dollar or you're chasing money, because as I mentioned, the money's not going to be there in the very beginning. So you have to love what you're doing, because if you don't show up, if you don't love what you're doing, you're going to quickly give up when times get hard. So have a passion about it, and make sure that you overserve your community and stay engaged and connected. A lot of people go into entrepreneurship because they say, I want to be my own boss, or I don't want to have a boss. But at the end of the day, your customer is your boss, and you have to make sure that you're serving that customer to the best of your ability.
Yes. Great advice. Anybody else want to hop in on that one?
I think it's important just to examine your motive. We are all sitting here, the product of the culture, and we all know the impact that the messages from the brands that were served to us growing up, the way that they made us feel about ourselves and see ourselves. So when you're an entrepreneur moving into the beauty space, I feel like there's a great deal of responsibility. We have a moral obligation, not just to focus on what we're selling, but like Monique said, think about who we're serving. There's a whole lot of conversation and dialogue around the business of beauty, but there's not a lot of conversation around just the ministry of caring for people, or really the art and science of hair care, for that matter. There's a lot of business talk, but a lot of times we're serving our community through innovation, through research, through science, and through re-messaging a lot of the things that we were taught about what it is to be Black and beautiful, kind of helping our community reprogram their idea of what that is. So there's a lot of weight. I think for me personally, I feel a huge responsibility to constantly check my motive and make sure that this isn't an ego-driven thing. This isn't about my career or my receipts, that it really is about focusing on who ultimately will feel different about themselves as a result of me being in this space.
Correct.
And because folk, you can't pull the wool over. We've been fooled one too many times. So we've been through things. So that's great advice, Maya, because you can't, like, even with Gabrielle, we couldn't rely on our celebrity. couldn't rely on steak. Like, so what? We like your movies, but what does make your hair do?
Right.
We serious about that. And so, yeah, you gotta have a passion. It's gotta be real. It's gotta be coming from a real place, because otherwise, the people gonna know. The people will know.
They will know.
They will definitely know. They will tell you about it.
Yes.
Well, that was one of our biggest things about.
I can only imagine. Absolutely.
But that's one of the big things about Sally Beauty. And, you know, as we say, ain't no fun if the homie can't have none. I do like to repurpose problematic lyrics. But also, if you don't have a firm grasp of us, then sometimes our partners or investors, they know the exact equation to put dollars in their pocket. And that equation it rarely leads to better hair health for us. What distributor is good in every hood that where you physically see this store in you know, a lot of our communities, in Black and brown communities? And that was Sally, you know? But it also goes into the customer experience. I keep relying on Taraji because we have a similar experience, but one of my first jobs in the business was as a model when I thought I was going to be Naomi Campbell. That didn't happen. And I remember on the shoot day, the only Black person, it was this Black woman, and her only job was to deliver the messages from the client and the ad agency to me. So I guess she was like the Black whisperer, but she had no power, no say, so I had no power. I was just a paid model. And everyone, a part of this huge campaign for this, what I thought was a Black-owned business, because it was for us. It was like a ubu, not a FUBU, but an ubu. You know, and I realized, wow, they're just making money off of us, and we're nowhere in this equation. And so when we were like, okay, we got this company, we have to, you know, we've got Sally Beauty. That can't be all. We have to figure out a way to use our resources, our knowledge. You know, now, thank God, we just created another line of money that we can actually offer financial assistance to Black-owned companies. You know what I mean? We really are about that, you know, rising tides rise all ships. You know, so like when you're talking about we can do many things, but we can't do many things at once. And for, you know, especially, you know, Black entrepreneurs, you got to be everything. You're literally every head of every department. So if we are not sharing and we're not giving back in every way, what are we really doing?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Especially when there's enough space for everybody.
Enough space for everybody
out here. It's so much, you know, I've always been the girl to go down the aisle, and I'm not crazy enough to sit up here and believe that you're going to find all your needs in TPH by Taraji. I know that. You know, that's what makes beauty industry so incredible. You can get some of this, you can get some of that, you can get some of this, and you make your own little poo-poo platter. And that's what I love. And it's just a beautiful time to be alive. It's a beautiful time to be a Black woman in this industry. I just love to see the launch of a new line. I'm always trying different stuff. Y'all send me stuff, I use it.
You were the first people to post.
Yes.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes, because I use that stuff. I don't know if y'all knew, I missed cosmetology school by 1 year. I didn't get accepted into the School of Fine Arts, and I loved doing hair. That's what I had. I bought my little $5 church meals when I was in college, because I would do $20 roller sets, you know, but I think God had other plans, because, you know, here I am as an actress. But the hair and cosmetology was always in my future for sure, because here I am.
You have that spirit. You do have that spirit.
Absolutely.
I can see it.
Yes. See, you got a whole salon.
Yeah, I was gonna say
you gotta come. You gotta come and see it. It's something to you, because every time people come, they go, I'm like, I promise you I have what you're looking for. Because it started with, you know, sometimes you're traveling, your luggage gets lost, and it's like, I don't ever want, you know, you're working. You don't want anybody to feel like I messed up. I left it's not your fault. Things happen, but guess what, baby? I got everything you need, right?
Right here. Speaking of which, though, I have a funny story. Just like clockwork, bag lost, on my way to a job. Who do I need to go and find to help me out? And I was in like Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Sally Beauty.
Sally.
I had to go to Sally to get what I needed on some last minute, like my bag is lost, and they came through in the clutch. Okay, so
Yeah, they have
kudos
all
to
the
Sally for always making it happen.
Always. And
We're gonna say
always.
Taraji's wig.
Oh,
Taraji's
Taraji,
actually
no.
a master wig maker. I don't know if y'all know.
Oh yeah, no, so,
Wow.
The wig for my mama. I was like, oh, wait, that blonde one back there.
That's what I do in my spare time. I play with my doll heads. It's a little weird, but it's strange and scary in there. But yeah.
Yeah, and I was just gonna add to that, you mentioned Sally's being a one-stop shop, but not only that, being on, every corner in the neighborhood, in our neighborhoods, but also how they're supporting Black women entrepreneurs.
Yes.
I didn't mention this, but Sally's took a chance on me after I had only been in business for 1 year, and we entered into Sally in 2016. We had our meeting in 2015. I had went into this meeting, didn't know what I was going to talk about, didn't know what to expect. It was so foreign to me. And I just went in there and just talked about what I love, and that was my brand and hair care. And they took a chance on me. They took a chance on this young Black woman entrepreneur. So they are not only, supporting us in our neighborhoods by being that one-stop shopping and creating that accessibility that we need, but they're also providing opportunity for Black women like myself to enter into a space and really overserve their customers. So I'm just very thankful of Sally Beauty for believing in me and my brand back when nobody else did, right? Nobody else did. And so again, and they're giving us this platform, which we have today, to share our story, to inspire and to motivate the other little girls, the Black little girls that are looking at us and saying, man, I have a dream, but is somebody going to believe in me? So because they see us, they're going to say, well, a Sally Beauty is going to believe in me because they've done it for Taraji, Monique, Pekela, Maya, and Gabrielle. So that gives them that much hope for the future. And so I'm truly grateful and thankful for them trusting in all of us to be at the show.
Absolutely.
Thank you for always being culturally competent.
Yes.
It's one thing to be in the hood getting our money, but it's another thing to understand what the community needs.
Yes.
Because I literally bought my first Marcel's and stove from Sally.
From Sally. And then I gotta also just give it up to all of you queens, you included. Everybody knows what it takes to launch a brand. It takes a lot of hard work. Sometimes it takes years. Sometimes it completely takes a lot of passion. So I just want you beautiful brown women to give yourselves a pat on the back for bringing something to the communities that we need. And it is not an easy task. So I hope that you all are proud of yourselves and what y'all are doing. Yeah.
I am. I'm proud of all the queens. I really am, because each and every one of you has inspired me to be in this space. So just thank you, seriously. Thank you. What is the one thing you want your brand to be remembered for? Anybody, go.
I would say I want Mielle to be remembered for being a brand that focuses on people first, then products, over serving our community.
Acute customer service, making you feel like the most important person in that moment.
I like to be remembered for authenticity and transparency. I know that sometimes when you have a brand message, especially when you're coming from a clinical perspective or as a stylist, your messaging doesn't always match up with everything that is in the beauty space. Again, because of kind of this conflict of beauty business and art and science are in a lot of times in conflict with each other. But I'd like to be known, we may not always see eye to eye. I may have been or will possibly be misunderstood, but I won't lie to you. And I think that when we're talking about the emergence of Black beauty brands in the beauty space, there's a lot of conversation surrounding transparency and sustainability and this idea that we're really caring for our community. And I think that it has to go both ways. If we're talking about caring for ourselves and, you know, ingredients and content and what we're sharing, we also have to be really honest about what it is that our products actually do. So I want to leave that behind when it comes to just my level of accountability to my community, not just saying that I'm for the culture, but actually being that way and standing for them from a place of honesty.
Absolutely. That's
Wow.
Yeah.
Before.
I mean, for us, I think it's being known for efficacy, accessibility, and affordability, and lift as we climb. You know, everything that we're doing, if we don't leave this space having put on as many people as possible,
right.
we have misused this time in this space.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Humans need humans, baby. We need
Yes.
each other.
What about you, T?
I guess I would, you know, my whole thing is mental health, you know. And I want to be known as a brand that is that leans into not just the vanity of being pretty, but that time and that space to self. Not, you know, as Black women, there are so many steps to doing our hair, and sometimes it feels like a chore. You know, at TPH, we want you to feel like it's self-care. This hair care, I'm taking care of myself. I'm gonna turn off the world, and I'm gonna put my mask on, and I'm really gonna take the steps to care for my hair and my spirit and my soul. I'm gonna take this day, I'm gonna slow down, and I'm gonna go through all of these steps to take care of myself. And then on the other side of that comes the beauty, right?
I think it's so powerful in what you just shared, Taraji, because what we all spoke to was actually a ritual. And
Yes.
that's such a precious time where there's so much emotion connected to hair and beautifying ourselves. It's that it is in fact a ritual. And so, you know, the love that we put into our brands, we're really hoping that, you know, our customer feels that love. I know that certainly is what I want for True and Pure, is that in that ritual, in that sacred space, in that moment that you allowed us to be in with you, that you feel the love and the authenticity in which we have behind it.
And our passion, because we all love our products.
It's a sacred space. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. What do you wish you saw more of in the beauty industry, Gabrielle?
Us.
Right. That's right.
Everywhere. Everywhere. Us. More of us. You know, I just even, you know, listening to Maya, and how many times have we been overseas and, you know, you blow out something, obviously, you know, the socket, the electricity, you know, and you're like stuck, and it's like, what do we do? What do we do? Where do we turn? Who? You're just looking for Black faces on the streets. Hey, sister. You know, but it's, I don't know. It's about it really does come down to the community of it all. More representation, and whether that be in the unions, in the hair and makeup unions across the world, because obviously the filming community is across the world. There is no reason that Black and brown talent should show up to work and have to come out of pocket to do their own hair, to be tasked with things other than just your job, that our counterparts don't even have to think about.
I agree. And I would just say, listen to us when we speak. You know? Listen to us. We're speaking up for a reason, because we've been neglected, we've been denied, we've been shunned. And when we come, and Gabrielle knows, we've been doing this, over 20 years, and we've had to fight to bring a Larry's and the Tims and our Black makeup and hair on sets. I've had to almost walk away from jobs. Like, no, I can't do my job because I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to have to worry about my hair. I'll never forget, I went to this photo shoot for a magazine, Only Black Face, me. I get there, and I just had my hair freshly done, because, you know, when you do the blowout straightening, press and curl, it looks like you have straight hair, right? And the guy just got into my hair, and he used a root booster.
And those roots were surely boosted.
I,
I can imagine.
like I had a helmet on. It was like a mushroom and then straight. And I cried. I cried. That was the worst. That was the worst experience of my career.
Damn.
And I had to take those pictures, like, excuse my language, but I had to take those pictures like that. And from that moment on, I was like, this can never happen again. I have to speak up. I have to speak up. And I started speaking up.
Good for you.
We know.
Good for you.
What or who inspires you to do what you do?
My mom. My mother. I lost my mother when I was younger, but she was a natural stylist. So I come from a women of a family of very talented women, especially as it relates to hair. So she's always my inspiration.
Yes.
Yeah.
May she rest in peace.
Yes.
In peace. Bless her. Yeah. For me, I'm from the west side of Chicago. I'm from the hood.
I jail for 6 years.
For me, the inner city kids, the underdogs, I was one of them. I, grew up as a fan of so many people. Mary being one of them. When Mary came out with a hairstyle, everybody in the hood wanted that hairstyle. And what I am familiar with is the response that I get from so many hood chicks, the young girls that are in my DMs that are commenting about the work that I do. That inspires me to continue to create so that they can aspire to become some of the things that I'm creating. And I get a lot of those recreations of what I've done on the carpets, and a lot of it is from the girls that are going to prom, the inner city kids that are on the west side of Chicago or wherever their hoods are. And those are the things that continue to inspire me as a creative. It really touches my heart.
Yeah.
What inspires me is all of y'all, because the reason why I say that is because, and I got goosebumps, because we didn't have this when we were growing up. We didn't have all of this. We were taught to hate our hair. And now these beautiful babies are going down these aisles. They are able to go to Sally and see representation and pick from a plethora and make their own poo-poo platter and come up with things that may be missing for them, So I just want to thank each and every one of you for not giving up, for staying, holding on to your dreams and your passion, because each one teach one. I don't know where I would be if I didn't have you representations. If I didn't have an example, your examples that came before me, how did I know that I could survive it? How did I know that I could dream and be, and one day be in Sally? I remember the first time I went in there and I saw, I was like, it's just a little girl in me, because I just remember hating my hair. I just remember hating my hair, and it's just so beautiful to be in this space where we can have these babies celebrate what naturally comes out of their hair, out of their head.
Right. And T, you got one of the best heads in the business. So I don't know how you, one of the best heads of hair in the business. Yes, you do.
But I grew up hating it. It's the messaging.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, T. And so many people talk about it. They talk about best hair in the business. T comes up.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
I ain't even trying to boast you up. It's just the truth. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's funny, sometimes you're scrolling through social media and you see a comment that kind of gives you pause.
Yeah.
And I posted this really cute video with Kavya, and it was when we took the video, it was after school. She looks like she survived the war, whatever. But there were so many comments, do that baby's hair. And it's her hair is moisturized, it is clean, it is healthy. We do her hair every night.
And she's
but
a
this
kid.
idea, and she's 3.
She's a baby.
Yeah.
But there's this idea that we always have to show up flawless.
Yeah.
right? And what I try to teach both of our girls, I had my second daughter, if you will. She was kind of born, if you will, a couple years ago, my daughter Zaya. And we have to constantly surround them with Black people who love and center Blackness, Black people who have at least started doing the unlearning work. But I need to show them that however we show up, they are beautiful, they are flawless.
Right.
And that is my inspiration. That is why I'm like, okay, watching my daughter do a fake hair, tutorial basically on her Moana doll. You know what I mean? Because she loves her hair. She loves products. She loves looking in the mirror. She's like, ooh, my curls. You know, she watched Encanto and Princess Tiana, why did you have to be a frog for so much of the movie? But she watched Encanto and she's, like looking at this kid's hair like, oh, that's my hair. My curls are beautiful. But if we are not constantly reaffirming, no matter how much we teach our girls and our boys, love yourself, love Blackness, the second they go out in that world, they're getting the opposite message. So constantly be reaffirming and leading. You know what I mean? There's times where she hears me go, oh, as I'm trying, because, I've got tight shoulders. So it's hard to do the twists in the back. But she heard me, like have a guttural, and she associated that with my hair and how I felt about it. And it's like they're watching every little thing. And it's just like, okay, remind myself, we are raising young queens and we have to lead first. We let them be our inspiration, but we have to lead and show and show and prove every time out.
You know what's so unfortunate about those senseless, unwarranted comments is that when it's a child of straight hair, it's called bedhead. It gets like a cute little name, but when it's our kids with just their natural curls and coils that, defies gravity.
Hello.
Absolutely.
We get put down. Do that baby hair. It's like, no, I'm just gonna let my curls be because that's what they do.
Yeah.
Right.
They ride.
For so long, it's been a stigma in the natural hair community that, if you wear your hair natural to corporate or if you wear your hair natural to an interview, it's not acceptable. It's not considered well-groomed. And same as you, Taraji, like I grew up, not wanting to wear my hair curly, and I would go and get my hair fried and dyed and laid to the side all the time because I wanted straight hair because I thought that was what was acceptable. My mom grew up in an era where wearing my hair curly, she was like, you need to go comb your hair. And even when I started going on my natural hair journey, when I started this company, she would ask me like, what are you doing to your hair? Like it was something wrong with my hair. And this was, 8 years ago. So not that long ago. So it's still embedded, and especially like our parents' generation that natural hair is not acceptable. And we have to just continue, like you said, Gabrielle, to lead by example. I have two girls that have curly hair. And I just try to, like, when I have business meetings, I go to work, I wear my hair curly, and it just warms my heart when they say, oh, mommy, your curls are popping. I like how your hair is today. Like, what product did you use? And so that's empowering to me. So when we talk about like inspiration, it inspires me that my daughters are looking at me and I'm leading by example, and I'm showing them not only, you can accomplish and do anything, you can have a dream, and, you can be a mom, wife, and a business owner and be very successful. And you can also do it while rocking your natural hair.
Absolutely.
And that's a horrible place to put a human. Like I did it. I wasn't born and I said, hey, God, I had this kind of hair, this color skin. Like, this is the skin I'm in. This is the hair that grows out of my head. How can you demonize me for that? That's something I can't. That's just what it is.
Yeah, and just like it's just as hairstyling is a part of a ritual, it's also a part of expression. So, like with my family, with all of the women, they knew how to do braids and ponytails. And one of those beauty rituals with my grandmother sent me to school with a braided ponytail, and I was just slinging my hair, and the boy's like, "That's not your hair," and I was like, "Yes, it is." He's like, no, it ain't, because your hair is fuzzy and it's shiny. And it was this very plastic, shiny, straight hair that I had a braided.
You had that yaki.
And it was like some type of synthetic straight hair. But anyway, all of my natural hair was sticking out. So there was no continuity. So just to be called out on the continuity, and that was like 9 years old, really being one of my first sort of shameful moments around what my hair was doing, not necessarily in, about it being in its natural state, but being called out in how I was expressing it. We use our hairstyle to express so many variations of our personalities and just really who we are. So he's like, that's not your hair. And I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
If I could, I'd like to just piggyback on the comment that Gabrielle made just about experiencing what she experienced, the comments about her daughter's hair and the things that we've all kind of experienced is like the cultural necessity of having our hair well kept and kept together. I think that what representation does matter. We have to see ourselves in the media. We do need to see Black faces and Black hair and our hair being allowed to look the way that it is. But representation has to come in tandem with appreciation. We can't have the representation in the media and ask people to show us in our natural light, and then we as the culture are constantly rejecting it. And what I notice in these comments and in the DMs is a lot of the negativity comes from people that look like me. My hair was never, I have naturally curly hair, but in certain circles, it's not nappy enough, or it's not curly enough, or it's too straight to be curly. So while we as the culture are saying we want to be represented, we want more Black faces and more afros and more waves and more braids and more hair that looks like ours. When we get that, it's our responsibility. That's the part that other people cannot do for us. It's our responsibility to appreciate it, to big it up, to repost the afro as much as you're reposting the wet and wavy. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
We have to appreciate what we're putting out there, or no one's gonna pick it up. And so when people that are not a part of our culture, that don't understand why that baby's hair needed to be combed, that don't understand those cultural nuances, when they see us appreciating ourselves and each other exactly how we look when we wake up, appreciating our own bedhead, then there's a different level of respect. And I really believe then we'll start to see more people looking like us in these spaces. And to your point, more people looking like us behind on the other side of the camera. Because I've noticed, in the work that I've done on sets or on photo shoots, that most of the people that are on the other side of the camera don't look like the models or don't look like me either. So I just wanted to throw my little 2 cents in on that. Appreciation is just as important as representation.
Absolutely. And then to Maya, to your point, just real quick, I lay it on the shoulders, and ladies, correct me if I'm wrong, but I lay it on the shoulders of Black men also.
Yes.
I think that Black women, they live up to these stereotypes and ideologies of what they think Black men want or are attracted to. So then they say to their daughters sometimes, no, baby, go ahead on and straighten your hair or comb your hair. You know what I'm saying? I think it's responsible. I think Black men should be responsible for telling Black women that they are beautiful in their natural state, in their coils and their curls. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that it would uplift the veil. It would make people feel way more inspired to live their real truths versus trying to live up to a standard of what really, to me, is a false standard, because it really isn't implying that you should embrace your natural beauty.
Okay, guys, let's just jump into the future. What upcoming project are you most excited about?
One of the most exciting projects that I am excited about is our More Than a Strand Fund. We did it last year where we had 60 women into a program that was a certificate program, and we partnered with Rutgers University and Newark Business Hub that pretty much gave them a roadmap and gave them the fundamental business foundation to jumpstart their business. So they graduated from this program and they received a certificate in entrepreneurship, and now we're connecting them with Goldman Sachs, and they're putting together their business plan to get funding to jumpstart their business. So I'm super excited about expanding the program. And as I mentioned last year, we had 60. I hope to have 100 and 200 next year, and I hope that number continues. So I'm super excited about, just reaching back and pulling up the next generation of entrepreneurs, and also providing them with the resources, as I mentioned earlier, the funding that's necessary as well to jumpstart their business. So I'm super excited about that.
So we did a partnership. We did a partnership that gave us a nice well of cash that we can actually, all these businesses that we've been highlighting on our page with Lift As We Climb, we can now actually give them cash. And so listening to you, Monique, and what you guys are doing, this is just more inspiration on how we can do better and what more we can do. But yeah, this is exciting, where you can actually hand money to companies that might need rent, that might need just a little bit of extra to get through that next month, you know what I mean? So they can live to see another day. But that is really exciting. And we have some new products that are launching. But I don't think there's too much more exciting than actually being able to give back money. That's
Absolutely.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm so excited about having those access touch points in 800 Sally stores. So we're rolling out some IO blades where consumers and customers will be able to touch and feel the hair without interrupters for 800 Sally stores. So super, super excited about that. Super, super excited.
Yay.
Amazing. Yeah.
This year, we'll be leaning in a lot more with the community that brought me here, which is the salon community, the professional community. I really want to focus on helping people who were just like me, working in, salons. I think like hairstylists are like the original influencers. We, come into our communities and bring a lot there. And a lot of times there's not a lot of guidance and mentorship that comes on the business side. We're bomb creatives, but we kind of get lost in the sauce when it comes to scaling not only our salon brands or our personal brands, but growing into a space where we can retire, where we can launch our own hair care brand. So this year with the Doux, we'll be focusing a lot on professional stylists. I really do believe that the beauty space can make room for more stylist-led and professional-led brands. And so there are lots of people who are, curious and want to be able to take the same path that I took, going from educator to salon owner to product developer. So I want to pour into the community that has really supported me, and that's what we'll be doing.
Beautiful.
That's beautiful. What's one last piece of advice you would give to those who have an idea or a dream but aren't sure how to bring it to life?
Use what you have. Just start. Use what you have. Put your money in a sneaker box like my husband and I did until you have enough, and let the work speak. A lot of times there's no room to share every little thing you're trying to do or you're working on. Sometimes it just needs to be a covenant between you and someone you really care about and God. And you keep it quiet and put your head down and just do the work. But I think there's a huge misconception that we have to have a whole lot of money or a whole lot of support, or people have to understand what it is that we're trying to do. No one cared or understood what it is that we were trying to build when we were overseas. But sometimes you have to see, as an entrepreneur, I can show you better than I can tell you. And so if God puts a dream in your heart, I believe that He'll help you fulfill it, and the people and the resources and everything that you need will come to you if you're committed to that. So use what you have, because the people that saw us coming up thought that we were, we had a whole lot of funding that we didn't, or we had a lot of help that we didn't. And they copied our mistakes. A lot of the money that I wish that I had when I started, if I had it, I would not have been able to create the kind of brand that I did, because so many of the decisions that I made were based on the lack of resources that I did have. So my advice is just to start. Just start where you are and use what is in your hand. And I really do think that everything else is kind of added unto you. It gets it gets your effort gets blessed when you're really intentional about what it is that you're creating.
Yeah, I agree. I would just add to that. I think Maya, you hit it like right on the head. Like I was thinking that as you were saying it. But I would just add to that, also have a spirit of humility. I feel that a lot of people, you know, their pride gets in the way of their blessings.
Yeah.
And if you have a spirit of humility and not be afraid to ask questions, it'll get you very, very far. You know, I've been very fortunate to surround myself with some very smart business people and some smart mentors that I can learn from and I can glean from. And I will be quick to tell you, listen, I don't know, but I want to learn and I want to do it, you know, if not the way you did, I want to do it better. And so having that spirit of being able to ask questions and not being afraid, you know, because you look stupid or because it's a dumb question. Like there's no question that is a dumb question. And I can credit me asking a lot of questions, the reason why I'm here today. Obviously God, first and foremost, but I'm also, God has blessed me with this spirit to be able to ask. If you don't have because you don't ask. So always being able to surround yourself with smart people. And smart people in areas that you're not smart, because we don't know everything as entrepreneurs, and it's okay to not know everything, but in areas that you're weak, you have to complement yourself with somebody that's strong in that area.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that has helped me is really just taking out the word winning, because if you're winning, then you could be losing. If you're winning, someone's losing. And so I just try to take everything that has happened as a learn or a lesson or really elevating versus losing. Oh, I lost this, I won that. So really just changing that paradigm of that there is no winning, there is no losing. You can only learn or elevate.
And just having your clear picture, because there will be no's, there will be doors that are closed.
Yes.
But that has happened to all of us sitting here. But we had a big picture that we kept our eye on, and that's why we're at this table together.
Yes.
So no one can take your dream from you. No one can take your dream.
Absolutely. Be fearless. Fear is a lie. Fear will keep you crippled, stifled. Fear is a lie. You want to make sure that you live very fearlessly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like we talk a lot about accountability. Oof, and it's hard sometimes to be like, it was me. I screwed the pooch on this one. I dropped the ball. I didn't, whatever it is. Didn't return an email, or I misread it, or whatever it is. Or I thought I had a right course of action, and that did not work. And it's okay to just be like, yeah, screw the pooch. I don't know. I actually don't know, and that's a real answer. And let's figure out how to extend the table to find some folks who do know, and being open to being led in different directions that you probably never thought were viable or realistic directions that you're like, look at this. There's a whole new way of doing things that just never occurred to me because I couldn't get out of my own way.
Which is how we got to where we are, because we had to sort of unlearn what the first launch was with Flawless, and we were able to go into it newly with a new fresh set of ears and an open heart to understand the things that went wrong the first time and how we could correct it the second time around. So it was really a learning process for both of us.
That was so bold of you to do that, Gabrielle, because egos get in the way and we're so afraid of what people might think. Oh, you failed or you did this. But that's the beautiful thing about building a brand. Sometimes you get it wrong, but the fact that you were vulnerable, I like to say vulnerable because that's where our strength is. You were vulnerable enough to say, yeah, I didn't do it right the first time, but guess what? I learned some things, and we're relaunching in a way that we're going to be able to reach the people. Like that, to me, that was the most bold, beautiful thing I've ever seen happening in the industry. So
people were like, don't you want to maybe skip that part? I'm like, no, for what? Listen, if you read the book, you don't give up. You don't give up.
That's
the point. At some point, you have to be you have to be open to radical transparency, and not only for yourself, so you can face yourself, but also so we can do things like this, so we can share information and share resources and honest, real stories. Because there's other people who screw the pooch too, and you're like, but can I ever come out of it? Or am I just a loser? Am I just a failure? And it's like, no, failing at something doesn't make you a failure. The real journey, the real lesson, the real winning is admitting it, acknowledging it, figuring out and humbling yourself, listening to other folks who are more knowledgeable, and putting your big girl pants on and going back out there and being honest about, didn't do it right. This was not the move. And even though financially the business made money, it eroded my soul. I felt like I was a part of a bait and switch to Black people, and I didn't want to be a part of that. So I'm okay with being honest about that, because how else am I going to learn, or anybody else?
Oh, that's big.
Yeah. That's a beautiful space to be in. I would like to thank all of the beautiful panelists for their participation. I want to thank the audience for tuning in. And I just want to remind all the viewers that they can shop the founder's amazing products at your local Sally Beauty, sallybeauty.com, or via the Sally Beauty app. Ladies, queens, and king, I have really enjoyed this. I always enjoy this when we share, what we hear, because that's what we're here to do, right? Touch and affect other humans, especially in our community, in a positive way. And I think that's what we've done. And I want to thank Sally for allowing us this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.